And ultimately, the issue I have with a lot of these content creators who do change and their content does shift to what one would deem to be misinformation in many cases, or just incorrect, they end up telling people what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear. Hello, we're doing things on the internet once again because it's Monday. Again, I've told you when you already know what day it is. This is a video that I was meant to film instead of the last video, so now I'm doing this video now. But this is a TikTok video. It's actually gonna be quite a spicy one. We're gonna cover a few things. I've got my notes next to me, so I'm ready to go. But obviously before we do go, you've outdone yourselves. As per, you've absolutely obliterated the like goal on the last video. And again, I can't thank you enough. We're going to keep the goal as is because I'm a bit scared to kind of progressively overload at the moment. 1,000 likes in the first 24 hours is the goal. If we could get that, that'd be bloody splendid. I would really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel and the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. I know if you're watching this, there's a high likelihood that you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. Yes, I'm talking to you. I'm looking at you right now. I'm not going to force you to because it's your choice. You must do what's best for you. Just know that if you did subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate it as it does really help the channel out. If you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below for comment question of the week and I shall do so. TikTok time. It's going to be a spicy one because not only are we going to react and discuss some of the things that we're going to see online, we're also going to talk about quite a problem with TikTok, unfortunately, and quite, I guess one would consider the dark side of TikTok. But obviously, you know what must be done. I actually quite like this hat, to be honest, because I think it looks kind of cool. Once again, I can't put it on the whole way. Oh my head is again too big. If any of you ever actually meet me in real life, can you just reassure me my head's not actually that big? Because the hats I'm wearing would suggest otherwise. But it's got a smiley face on it. I think that's really cool. Sorry, I digress. We're going to talk about some things. Here is KatVFitness, someone I've never heard of before, but apparently she does some bits and bobs on the TikTok. The struggle you don't see. Again, I'm going to be straight with you. She's standing on a BOSU ball, and it looks like there is a... Fresh sliders, my dude, I respect them. Purpose. Like, you've got to justify the movement you're doing. Again, not just from like being a trainer, whatever it may be, but when you are training, you must have a reason as to why you're doing certain movements, I believe. Even if that is just purely enjoyment, fine, that's your reason. But in this case, I think it seems like she's training for a purpose, maybe to get bigger, get stronger, whatever it may be. But doing any movement like this on a BOSU ball, as you'll see, she's doing a clean and press on a BOSU ball. And I just can't get behind it. I'm going to be honest with you. The clean and press, fantastic movement. Absolutely back it. I think it's phenomenal. It's a very hard movement to do, very technically quite difficult. So if you can do it properly, then yeah, go for it. But this is just a recipe for disaster and a recipe for injury. And the sad thing is, this has a lot of views. I mean, it's got 382,000 likes, which means a lot of people have seen it. And realistically, a lot of people are probably going to this individual for maybe workout tips, maybe workout ideas, whatever it may be. I guarantee somebody's going to try something like this and somebody's going to hurt themselves. If you want to use a BOSU ball, you do you. Personally, I don't use them myself, and I would never dare chuck on some free weight movements like a clean and press while standing on a BOSU ball. Quite frankly, I probably exceed the weight limit. In addition to that, setting aside my inability to maintain that sick balance, like I said, it's just a recipe for disaster and a recipe for injury. You are likely going to hurt yourself, and it's really not worth the risk. I'm asking you, and I'm saying this because I care about you, please don't do clean and press on a BOSU ball. Please don't do any free weight movement on a BOSU ball. This kind of stems into one of the issues with TikTok, which we will elaborate on further. It gives people a platform to produce content, which is fantastic. I absolutely love that. Get more people on it, there for it. TikTok can give people a platform to spread some amazing information, but it can also give people a platform to spread a lot of misinformation and a lot of potentially dangerous and damaging information, or workout ideas like the one we just saw. But there's an individual here called SarmsGirl. If you know what the SARMs are, they are PED. And she basically was discussing her journey on SARMs. Derek from More Plates, More Dates did cover it. She's deleted some of her videos, I believe, because I can't find many of them. Seems like she's a relatively new lifter. That's an issue I have with TikTok, is that this is amongst all genders, but it has really normalized the taking of PEDs, especially amongst younger individuals. Like, the thing you have to understand is PEDs aren't a joke. There are a lot of risks associated with PEDs, and if you are going to take them, which again is your your choice. I'm not for or against PEDs, I'm very much pro-choice. You must do what's best for you, because at the end of the day, it's your body, and I can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do. If PEDs align with your goals and you've weighed up the pros and the cons, only you can make the decision. I'm really gonna say this now, is if you are considering PEDs, please do not do so when you're so young. Honestly, it's just a bad time waiting to happen. If you're gonna consider PEDs in the future anyway, wait until you've got multiple years of solid training under your belt. Random number of that, at least 5 to 7 years of solid training before you even consider PEDs. And I want that to be solid training. I want that to be solid sleep. I want that to be solid nutrition. I want your health to be in check. I want everything to be in check, because if not in check now, it's not going to be in check when you get on them. But if you are 18, 19, 20, 21, 16, 17, whatever it may be, please don't even consider them. It's too young, you're still developing, like natural hormones are already all over the place. Please don't make it worse. It has the potential to have a negative impact on your health. Please be careful. You gotta go understand, just because you see it online doesn't mean you should do it. That's the big problem of how normalised PEDs are online these days, and it's a real stress of mine. Oh, go on, let's have a look at this. Stop doing this. The biggest mistake causing you to hang on to belly fat. I know it's going to wind me up, because they've said belly fat, they've isolated a certain area. Eating under 1,500 calories a day. Your body will lose muscle, store fat, will destroy your metabolism. This is basically what's implying starvation mode. First of all, calorie-wise, I don't know how many calories you need. This person doesn't know how many calories you need. Some people do need to eat less than 1,500 calories a day to be in a deficit. I'm not saying everyone, just some people. Yes, if you're in an aggressive deficit and potentially for too long, you can lose muscle. That is, we know that. Obviously, a way to combat that is maintain your strength, so keep training heavy, and make sure the deficit isn't too aggressive and you aren't in a deficit for too long, and also high protein intake. Those are big things that will help you maintain muscle mass, which is fantastic. But the store fat, that's a big one I want to focus on right now. So this very much kind of aligns with what many call starvation mode. I remember Steffi Cohen did a video a while back covering this and basically saying no, it doesn't exist. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like, if that were true, if starvation mode were a thing, then people who are unfortunately struggling to eat, in theory, based on starvation mode, would be gaining weight and storing fat. But we know that's not the case. If you're eating under 1,500 calories and you're not losing weight, you're probably not in a deficit. If you want to lose weight, go into a deficit. If you want to gain weight, go into a surplus. It doesn't really need to be more complicated than that. So whoever this person is, we need to talk. Oh, there you go. Bloody nailed it. Not losing weight in a calorie deficit. 100% chance you aren't actually in a calorie deficit. Mad. So this guy, another one, BrockFit, this is actually relevant to the PD conversation I had earlier. The other thing that I've found quite stressful and quite disappointing to see online, which is again another problem with the fitness industry, especially fitness TikTok, because obviously PDs have been normalised and everyone claims to be a natty when they're not, so many fake natties online. It's like the wave of fake natties just come back and just consuming people again. I'm sick of it. It's going to lead to so many unrealistic expectations, so many people lacking satisfaction because they feel like they aren't enough. If you're watching this video and you're ever questioning, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not strong enough, I'm telling you now, you are enough. Actually, you're more than enough. So if you ever doubt yourself, you ever feel like your genetics aren't good enough, you're not working hard enough, wherever it may be, you're not good enough as a person, you are enough. Please remember that. Yeah, because of obviously how normalised PEDs are, people were very judgmental and dismissive of actually natural physiques because they think all these TikToker fake natties are natural when they're not. For example, this BrockFit guy has a really impressive natural physique. Like, yeah, I do believe he is a natural individual. I think he's got a great physique. I think he looks bloody splendid. Because a lot of these young individuals, mainly guys, I think, see all these fake natty PED TikTokers and they're like, well, he claims natural, so he must be natural, therefore that's a naturally attainable physique. When it's really not, well then look at someone who is actually natural with a great physique, like this individual here, BrockFit, and be like, oh, you look awful. Because this person's natural, he looks better than you. First of all, that person's not natural. Second of all, who are you to say whether someone looks good or bad? I guess the saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, comes to mind. Although it may not necessarily align with you, your goals, and your preferences for your body, doesn't mean it's right or wrong. If that's how you want to look and that's what makes you happy, I support it. Just let people do them. You know I'm fully behind body positivity and it's always going to be something I preach. So at the end of the day, just because it's not you and maybe what you would want on yourself doesn't mean it's not beautiful. Despite what you may say to yourself and despite what others may say to you online, I'm going to tell you, I think you look bloody amazing and you need to keep doing what you're doing because something's clearly working. Speaking of fake natties, this is actually going to be relevant for what I was just speaking about. This dude here, these young guys on TikTok will see individuals like this person and be like, well, he claims natural, therefore that's a naturally attainable physique. No, it's not. I'm telling you now, I don't care how long you've been training, but that is not a naturally attainable physique. And because people see things like this and think, oh, this is naturally achievable, therefore the standards have been raised, they'll look at someone who's actually natural and be like, well, I don't think you look as good or as impressive because this person's natural and he looks better. But I'm telling you now, in my opinion, this individual is not natural. Blogilates, again, this was actually sent to me on the old TikTok machine. I'm going to bring it up because it was kind of covered in the video I did on her recently. Again, it's another bicep push-up. I think this is what I want to talk about regarding Blogilates here, is how I think TikTok can change people. A lot of the comments in that video are very much saying, oh, I used to follow Blogilates back in the day. A lot of her stuff was really good. It's really disappointing to see how much she's changed. And ultimately, the issue I have with a lot of these content creators who do change, and their content does shift to what one would deem to be misinformation in many cases, or just incorrect, they end up telling people what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear, because unfortunately what people want to hear sells, and they are obviously trying to sell a product, being themselves in this case, like their content. It's really disappointing how things like TikTok, where your video can get seen by 100,000 people in minutes, has kind of led to this shifting quality of content where creators are feeling the need to create stuff which is just not true and potentially damaging to keep up with the times and keep popular, keep relevant and feed the algorithm. And it really is a shame. I'll elaborate on what I spoke about in the last video. So you'll see here, she is pressing away from her. Therefore, when looking at the muscles of the arms, it's going to be tricep dominant. Extension of the elbow is the primary function of the triceps. Flexion of the elbow, which is obviously the curling, is one of the primary functions of the biceps. So I know she's put the body in a supinated position, which again, when you rotate the hand so it is supinated, is again a function of the biceps. So if you tense your arms like this and go like this, you'll see the bicep move, supination, yeah, you know what I mean. This is not a bicep dominant movement. An additional function of the bicep is to assist with shoulder elevation, to assist with, it's not a primary function. When you're trying to target a muscle, let's say you want to target the biceps, you will choose movements that align with the primary function of that muscle. This video is merely my thoughts and opinions. You may not agree with everything. In fact, you may actually disagree with some things, which is absolutely fine. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. But now we must obviously crack on with comment question of the week very quickly. If you are not able to squat properly due to a lack of ankle flexibility, what would be a good alternative? I think the thing you really need to consider there is, why is your ankle flexibility so iffy? Is it due to injury, or is it something that can be fixed and changed? Because if it's something you can work on, honestly, I really recommend working on it. Those who are struggling with things like ankle mobility issues often raise their heels on a platform, which then can make it much easier for them to hit depth when they squat. So that's why you get the Olympic lifting shoes with the raised heel. So like I say, if you're watching this video right now, you stand up very quickly with no shoes on and do a squat, keeping your heels on the floor, you can get so low. Staying in that bottom squat position with your heels on the floor, now lift your heels off the floor and go onto your tiptoes. Your hips will sink a bit lower and your torso will be a bit more upright, and you feel a lot more comfortable in that position. That's basically an exaggerated version of how squatting in Olympic lifting shoes with a raised heel will feel. It helps accommodate for and kind of like mask any ankle mobility issues you may have. Fine movements you can do comfortably, whatever it may be, but the big thing is, if you can, work on your ankle mobility and address the problem, so then you are able to do movements like squats and stuff without any mobility or range of motion hindrances in the future. So if you type in on YouTube very quickly, Squat University ankle mobility, they've got a lot of good videos regarding how one could improve their ankle mobility to help them with the squat or squat variations. Although it's not necessarily directly answering the question you asked, I think that's more of a better direction for long-term gains, basically. That is it. That is the video. Again, like I said at the start of the video, 1,000 likes in the first 24 hours is the goal and would be bloody amazing. If you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel, maybe even the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. And on top of that, if you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below for comment question of the week and I shall do so at the end of the next video. Thank you for tolerating my waffle for the last 14 minutes or so. Thank you for tolerating my opinion, and thank you for tolerating the video.